Well, if you're watching this video, odds are you have a Terrain, Equinox, Malibu, anything with a 2.4 in it that either dropped a valve, broke the timing chain, burned up the piston rings, or any other sort of failure. So today I'm going to show you how to swap the engine in a 2010 to 2017 Chevrolet Equinox or GMC Terrain. This one is an all-wheel drive. It's very similar on a front-wheel drive as well. This is a 2012 specifically, like I said, all-wheel drive, 2.4 6-speed. This one I previously pulled out of a 2012 Terrain front wheel drive, so I can say that the front wheel drive is definitely a little bit easier, but the plan is to swap this into here. So I'm going to give you a breakdown on everything that you need to do to pull these out. Now the first thing I did take the hood off. Now I highly recommend doing this. I did it on the other one. I don't think you could actually get the engine out with the hood still attached just because this engine is fairly tall. So to try and get it out, and then with the arm on your cherry picker, you're probably going to run into the bottom of the hood. So did pull it off, just those 4 nuts, set it off to the side. Now the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to do all the top stuff first while this thing's still sitting on the ground. So we're going to pull off this intake plenum. We've got a hose clamp here and a hose clamp down under the throttle body. Then this just pops out like that. We'll pull the air box out. There's two 10 millimeter nuts back here. Then the engine cover will come off. Then we'll start working on the intake manifold as well as the catalytic converter and the exhaust manifold. So we have the intake manifold just about ready to come off. So I went ahead, I pulled all the harness connections off. I also pulled the purge solenoid out. That sits in here. You have a quick connect onto the intake manifold there, and then one 13 millimeter bolt. That pulls that off. Then you have this bracket and this insulator that go over top of this high pressure fuel pump. So there is two 10 millimeter bolts from the side in here, and then one nut that goes onto an intake manifold stud that holds that on there. And then you pull your harnesses and all that off the intake manifold. There's a bolt here for this plug, which is for your injectors. Then you have another 10 millimeter bolt down here for the dipstick. Then you pull this back and you've got your 13 millimeter bolts and nuts. And then I'll go ahead and I'll pull these two studs out. These are 5 millimeter studs, 5 millimeter socket to pull the studs out, and then it just gives you a little bit more flexibility to get the intake manifold off. I pulled this bracket off. This sat back here. There's two 13 millimeter bolts right there that go backwards into the head that way. There is a ground right here that goes into the back of the head. That's 10 millimeters. There's this bracket that holds the wiring harness. That's a 13 millimeter bolt into the side of the engine there. And yeah, I'm gonna work on getting this intake manifold pulled out. I'll probably pull the battery tray out as well, give me a little bit of extra room to get these coolant hoses off. And then we'll probably start working on the exhaust manifold. All right, so after I pulled the intake manifold out, I decided to just do everything else that's on the front here. So you have to pull all your harnesses out. You've got a ground right there, NOx sensor there, oil pressure sensor there, and then there's a crank sensor down there as well. And then unplug the air conditioning compressor. Now I unbolted the compressor and I just swung it over here and it'll just sit on the subframe. That way I don't have to evacuate the air conditioning. I'll just bolt it onto the next engine. The alternator was above that. I pulled that out, two 13 millimeter bolts and one 13 millimeter nut. Then I also pulled the stud out just so I could get the alternator out this way. Then the starter goes on right there. You can see the hole for it, two 15 millimeter bolts. And then once I have a little bit more taken off wheel area over here so I can spin the crank, I'll pull the torque converter bolts out through that hole. Should be fairly straightforward. Those should be 18 millimeter bolts, and there should be 3 of them. I also did pull the battery tray out. Like I said, I think I'm going to just leave the ECM sitting over here. And then one thing I forgot to mention, the fuel line comes down. You have this bracket holding it here. This bolt right here holds the bracket, and then it loops around and it hooks into the high pressure pump right there. Okay, so with it lifted up in the air, there's a few things that we need to do under here. First thing, this transfer case slash passenger side axle bracket needs to come off. It's attached to the block, the engine block. So this passenger side front axle will have to come out so you can get the bolts out of the block, pull this bracket off, which will require a 36mm socket for the hub nut. Then we need to get this catalytic converter out of the way. Now that's probably the hardest part of this whole ordeal. So if you come underneath, you have your two 15mm nuts on this flange here, which is the flex pipe, and then the cat runs up there. So it's basically this 90-degree pipe with the cat integrated into it. So you'll pull these two nuts off, and then this hanger will have to come off. And then the really tricky part is this bracket right up here. Now this is the transfer case, this is the cat pipe, whatever. This is the drive shaft that goes to the rear. So right in between, you can see there's this 15mm bolt. And you can see a little bit better. There's a 15mm bolt that bolts into this bracket that runs up and then behind the catalytic converter. And then there's a stud on the engine block that holds this bracket as well as a 90-degree bracket for the transfer case. So my best way of doing this is I take this bolt out. I undo, obviously, these two back here for the cat. I'll undo the three nuts that hold the cat to the exhaust manifold. I pull this bar out as well. Then the cat can drop a little bit, and then you can kind of sneak in behind and get that nut off. Then slide this bracket out, and then you can usually slide the cat out. Now, it's a very difficult thing to do, and as hard as it seems coming out, it's even harder to put back in. So it's one of those things, you have to get it done, so you just kind of got to fight with it and get it to work. I don't really have a good solution to it, but the best thing I can say is get a very long flex head ratchet wrench, 15mm, to get that nut behind the catalytic converter. Once it's all taken apart, I can show you and it'll make a lot more sense. All right, so now I pulled this top O2 sensor out so I could get this heat shield out. Now you can get the heat shield out with the O2 sensor still in place, but you do have to bend the heat shield quite a bit to force it out. So pulled out that O2 sensor, pulled the shield, and then you have the three 15mm nuts, one there, one there, one there. Pulled those out, and then I was actually able to sneak behind the exhaust manifold to get that 15mm nut for the catalytic converter bracket that I'll show you in the bottom. All right, so under here you can see with the catalytic converter removed, this is that stud that I'm talking about. So this bracket sits up here like that with a 15mm nut on it, and then this is that bolt that I was showing earlier. So you pull the bolt out, unbolt the converter from the top, and then you have to take this nut off this bracket, so then this bracket kind of just falls, and then you can shift the converter out of the way, pull this bracket out, and then the converter just squeaks through between the steering rack and the transfer case. So the next thing I need to do, I need to pull this bracket off. This is just like a 90-degree bracket onto the transfer case. There's a bolt going this way, looks like a 15mm bolt. And then I need to get this bracket off for the passenger side front axle. Pull that bracket off, and then we can start looking at the bolts that hold the engine to the transmission. All right, back under here, that axle bracket's off. That 90-degree bracket that was sitting up there on the transfer case, that's off. Then I actually went and pulled the top mount off that bolts onto the top of the transfer case right there. It's tough to film, but so that mount basically bolts in right up here to these bolts on the transfer case. And then as well as this one right here, or sorry, no, that's that 90-degree bracket because the stud's right there. That's 90-degree bracket. There's a transmission mount, bolts onto here. I pulled that off just to get better clearance to these two bolts. These are directly under that water outlet pipe. So these two bolts bolt the engine to the transmission. They're both 18 millimeters. So we got those pulled out. Then you come under the transfer case. You've got a 15 mil here, 15 here, 15 here. And that should pretty much conclude everything down here. I just need to pull the torque converter bolts out through the starter hole. Again, 18 millimeter. There should be 3 of them. And then after that, we should be able to go up top, pull the coolant hoses, and get the top transmission bolts, and this thing should be ready to pull. And there you have it, the engine is out of the car. So I left these two top transmission bolts till last. This one is a ground cable stud, so you'll have to take the 15 mil nut off, take the ground stud off, or take the ground cable off, and then it's an 18 millimeter stud. So that one will pull out. And then yeah, just unhook. This one goes to the surge tank. This is the upper radiator hose. You have your 2 heater core hoses right here, and your upper right there, and then your bleed hose right here. Those all come off, and then really it's ready to just slide out. Now I did pull the crankshaft balancer bolt out. It gives you probably 1/2 inch of extra room because this is very tight between the frame rail and the transmission. The other thing you will need to do, put a floor jack right under the transfer case, pretty much right under the output to the rear drive shaft. And then that will bring this back end of the transmission up to give you that angle to make it come this way, to give you room to get the engine out this way. You also don't want to have the two kind of get cocked because then you're going to jam the torque converter into the crankshaft and it's going to want to pull the converter out with the engine. And mine actually did start doing that a little bit, but I was able to get my pry bar in there and push the converter back in to allow me to get the engine out. If you're wondering where I hooked the chain up, this is where the purge solenoid bolts on. So this is just behind it on the cylinder head. And on this side, I initially had it hooked onto, I believe it was down here where the alternator mounts. Then I lifted it up and I pulled this mount off. Then I set the engine down and it sits on the subframe on the oil pan just perfectly. Then I was able to bolt right onto the engine mount right here. And then that's how I got it out. And it actually balances quite nice in those two spots. One thing you do want to do before you go ahead and drop this engine in there, just kind of compare the two. You know, make sure all your electrical connections match. Make sure all the components are there. You know, like say one's missing a fuel pump or something, just swap over what you need to, get it ready to go in. And then anything else you want to do before this engine goes in, like for example, my water pump was leaking, so I actually just finished changing this water pump out. Much easier to do when the engine's out of the car. Make sure your exhaust manifold's not cracked. That's super common on these 2.4s. This one somehow did have a good manifold, so we've got that installed on here. And the oil pan was leaking on this one, so I resealed that. As you can see, fresh silicone all around. Just the little things that you want to do while the engine's out, because it's way easier to do now than once it's in the car. So I won't be quite as thorough putting this engine in, but I'll just throw it on a time lapse. You can see it all go in. And yeah, hopefully it goes in just as smooth as it came out. Well, I didn't film very much going back in. I mean, it seriously is the reverse of how you took it out. I did it in the exact same order, like I did the back first and the exhaust before I jumped to the front. One trick for that catalytic converter, if you can, pull the studs out of the top. I have an extra one sitting here. If you can get these studs out of the top of this, it makes it much easier because you can stick it up behind the engine and then you can shift it all the way to the passenger side. That allows you to get in to the back side where this bracket is. You can get in from the top to tighten that nut with the bracket, then shift this back over, thread your studs in, tighten your nuts on, and then just put your last bolt through here, tighten it down at the back there. And that's the easiest way to do that catalytic converter, at least from what I've found. But other than that, it literally is exactly the way it all came out, put it back together the exact same way. The coolant was kind of a pain to bleed. It didn't want to bleed initially. I filled it up basically to the line. I ran it till it was hot. There must have been a bubble somewhere. I wasn't getting heat through the heater. Maybe the thermostat wasn't opening right. I don't know what was happening. But basically I shut it off. I let it sit. And then over the course of actually like 3 or 4 days, this level would consistently drop a little bit. And I would just keep feeding into it every day. I'd come out here and add a little bit more, keep it topped up. And I guess it bled itself over time because I have good heat now and the level's staying consistent. So I guess the best option is to leave this open if you can. If you can't vacuum fill the system and you just need to gravity fill it, let it sit for a while, it should bleed itself. Keep in mind, I also had the front end jacked up, so that could have also played a part in getting this just kind of at that angle. But other than that, just got to throw the hood on. Make sure the oil level's good, the coolant level's good, and take it for a drive. And if everything's good, then you've successfully replaced the engine in an Equinox or Terrain. I'm sure there's lots of videos out there on how to change the engines on these things, so mine is just gonna get thrown into that pile. But if you learned something out of this video, be sure to let me know in the comments. I like doing videos like this, just kind of show off little tips and tricks that maybe help a guy out if you're stuck and you can't figure out how to get that catalytic converter out or in. Hopefully this video gave you a little bit of a tip and helped you out in some way. So if that is the case, be sure to subscribe to the channel. This isn't all I do. I'm currently working on a Cummins Swap 59 Viking behind me. So this was kind of out of the ordinary, but if you're interested in that kind of stuff, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like the video. And like I said, if this helped you out in any way, be sure to comment down below. And with all that being said, see you guys in the next one.